I'm here again at the Aghori ashram in Varanasi. I just couldn't stay away. I don't know if it's my soul that calls me back or if Maa herself is playing her game with me. But anyway, I'm here, and this time I will not be alone. Today, one of my friends from our spiritual practice group will be joining me. I wonder what this experience will feel like for both of us, and what she will feel in this place. I see these walls, these trees, I feel this air, and I realize that my soul is singing with joy, like falling back into childhood. My beloved Lakshmi, she is different now. After meeting some unkind people, she is no longer as trusting as before. Some things have changed, but the essence remains. Familiar faces, walls, and that same silence. This time, the monks welcome me with warm smiles, and I'm so happy to be here again. I slowly walk through the yard, touching the rough walls. It feels as if I left only yesterday. Faces, conversations, night puja, and the endless sound of mantras return to my memory. Here, the noise of the outside world feels far away. There is no need to rush and no need to prove anything to anyone. Over time, the deities stopped being just unfamiliar images in the temple. They became a part of my life, a part of my world. My beloved Varahi Devi and Narasimhi Devi. Standing before them again, I feel the same tenderness as meeting dear ones after a long separation. In these moments, I don't want to say a word, just to embrace them, touch them, and express a love that cannot be explained. Meanwhile, life in the ashram goes on. Everyone wakes up with the sunrise. The women cook, the men take care of things outside, and I take the chance to be a little naughty while the boss is not watching.
Мы стучимся в дом к типичной даме Акхорского ашрама.
Типичной даме, типичной комнаты.
Aghori, да. Это номер люкс.
Welcome, nice to see you. Oh my god.
Да, пожалуйста, покажите нам.
Akhilapraana, здравствуй, какими судьбами.
Да, я так долго к тебе ехала.
Я всегда так рада гостям, я так рада всегда
Где
гостям.
масала чай?
К сожалению, у меня ничего нет, только 2 Наполеона, 1 сметанник и 3 кастрюли борща. Я совсем не ждала гостей. Совсем не ждала гостей. Заходи, мы закажем какую-нибудь масала досу. Заходи.
А вот здесь алтарь, горячая свеча. Здесь чуть-чуть не прибрано, чуть-чуть.
Конечно, нам соизволили сделать рум.
Да, у нас рум апгрейд. У нас теперь есть дверь, это самое главное. Никто не будет зыркать в наш угол.
Наконец-то. И наша сестра Лакшми больше к нам не придет без приглашения.
Кстати, она не будет съедать таблетки.
Запись. Так, я выхожу такая типа. Иди.
Они здесь, иди сюда.
This is only for you. Painting item, наверное.
Покажи, покажи.
Свинья. Моя первая открытка.
Очень красиво. Beautiful.
Bahut sundar. Thank you, very beautiful.
At the beginning, there was only fear. It was a feeling I had never felt before, deep inside of me. Something very ancient was awakening, and it scared me.
Как-то немного странно видеть Акилупрану в этих интерьерах.
Почему это?
Неожиданно.
I arrived to Swamiji's ashram with a feeling that this visit had been planned long time ago. My connection to the ashram and Swamiji began through a series of films. Each episode left me in tears by the end. Который мы хотим предложить Ма.
Сейчас предложим Ма и будем кушать.
Чувствуется, что она проголодалась.
Да, это же она проголодалась, а не мы, правда? Ну все, надо кормить.
At that time, I wasn't even planning a trip to India. But just a few days later, somehow, my plane tickets were already booked. I remember the moment I met my friend Bimala in Mumbai. She was planning a trip to Swamiji's ashram, and I noticed her smile and the sparkle in her eyes. They reflected a feeling I recognized well, that deep excitement before something special. Кураж такой не очень. Любимые тупицы.
Любимые. Ничего, ничего.
Или столько лет делать, и опять забыли.
В общем, мы заказали таких 4 йогурта, естественно, из жадности. Вот, и раздали его всем. Один Смашан Бабе, один второму Aghori, ну и Гуруджи, естественно. Подкупаем тут всех.
Somehow, I already knew where this was leading. I already had a ticket to another place in South India. But just a few hours later, I found myself on a flight to Varanasi. We laughed and joked a lot, but deep inside me, the fear was still there. I thought I could always leave if I wanted to. And then we arrived at the ashram. I met Swamiji for the first time and felt completely lost and confused. There were no big words, just a laugh that didn't need to be earned. And then we are taken to the temple, to Kali Ma. For the first time, I see her eyes. The deities seem more alive than the people themselves. Ma had always been here. Her deep, piercing gaze frightened me, because the truth was right in front of me. And no matter how painful it was, there was no way to run from it anymore. It was already midnight. We stood in front of Kali Ma. I was thinking maybe I will leave tomorrow morning, but Swamiji told us to sleep in the temple. I tried to meditate before sleep, but I heard a very loud and strict voice within. Don't force yourself, just sleep. At that moment, I realized I wasn't even being honest with myself in my own practice. My first night in the ashram, and my mind was full of questions. Why am I here? Bimala tried to support me, saying that it is very rare for Swamiji to allow someone to sleep in the temple. But soon I realized that everything what was happening was beyond my control. The ashram is a place where you slowly let go and place yourself in the loving hands of the Great Mother. I used to think I knew how to go with the flow of life, but Ma has a way of showing you a clear mirror without any lies. And once again, I have to face a difficult truth about myself. I closed my eyes, imagining that tomorrow I would already be on the road to Delhi. For a few seconds, I slipped into another vision. My friend, sleeping beside me, was sitting up and reading a huge book in the darkness. I opened my eyes. Bimala was still peacefully sleeping beside me. I know I didn't imagine it. Sometimes we only see what we are allowed to see. I believe this place holds far more secrets than ordinary eyes can perceive. I was surprised by how much Swamiji himself works.
It has always been this way. From early morning he takes on the hardest and dirtiest work. There are only a few helpers, so Swami ends up doing most of himself. Things used to be very different here, but since our films came out, everything has changed. People from different parts of the world started donating to help build the ashram. This is Gomata food? When we first arrived in Varanasi, hardly anyone knew how to find this place. Now, even taxi drivers at the airport know the way. Even with so few helpers and so much work to do, everything is taken care of. The animals are fed, the grounds are kept clean, and the ashram is well looked after. The monks are never just sitting around. Swamiji seems to have endless energy, always busy, always working, and never tired. You already know Lakshmi, the deer. She sees herself as Swami's wife, his loyal life companion. She's like a little manager, keeping an eye on Swami's work and sticking her curious nose into absolutely everything. When the construction began, the work increased and more hands were needed. Young helpers joined the ashram, helping with daily tasks while slowly learning the basics of Aghora. Here, every animal is treated like family. When one gets sick, they do everything they can to help, calling a doctor or using their own methods. I have witnessed this care many times. The monkeys I met last year have returned to the forest after being safely released. But new young visitors have arrived. I joke that maybe they are the ashram's new students, came here to learn a little about humanity, and maybe even some Tantra. When we had a free moment from pujas and daily work in the ashram, we sat together and remembered the time when Swamiji came to Moldova.
My dear children, I often think about the time I spent in Moldova. For me, it was not just a trip. Moldova became a very special place in my heart. What a beautiful country, what wonderful people, and what a beautiful group came together there. I remember your love, your care, and your seva. You served so sincerely from your hearts. I will never forget how you took care of me. Such love and such service are very rare. Many people from other countries come to us, but I have rarely seen such deep devotion among Europeans. You follow the tradition so beautifully, always wearing Indian clothes, doing puja and spiritual practice with true devotion. You have respect, good values, and culture. Your guru has taught you well. I even thought it would be wonderful to have an ashram in Moldova, a place filled with warmth, love, and true bhakti. A part of me stayed in Moldova, and that is why I am always close to you, looking after you and praying for each one of you. May Ma bless every one of you.
Since childhood, Swamiji has always said that the Nagas were with him, not always visible, but always somehow present. When he was 11, his family was performing a fire ritual at home. During the chanting, he noticed that one of the participants were reciting the mantras incorrectly. Without hesitation, the young boy quietly corrected him, not to show off, but simply to help. But his grandfather, a guru from a long spiritual lineage, saw it as a disrespect. In front of the whole family, he struck the boy with a stick. For an adult, it might have been just a moment of anger, but for a child, it was a moment when the whole world suddenly seemed unfair. Overwhelmed by hurt and pain, Swamiji walked away. There was a poison in the house, and at that moment he drank it. Within minutes he became seriously ill. He began vomiting, lost his sight, and soon lost consciousness. Panic spread through the house. His family rushed around calling for help, not knowing what to do. And then two snakes appeared beside the boy. One was dark, the other light. They quietly came closer and lay on either side of him, as if guarding his sleep. Later, Swami said that they were Nagaraj and Nageshwari, his brother and sister from the subtle realm. At the hospital, doctors feared the worst. The poison was strong, but to everyone's surprise, the boy survived. The only lasting damage was a burn in his throat caused by the poison. From that day on, a slight rasp appeared in Swamiji's voice, a mark that stayed with him throughout his life. Years passed. Some would call it a coincidence, others a miracle. Swami never tried to convince anyone. He simply carried the memory of the day and said that from childhood he felt that in the darkest moments of life, unseen forces may be present beside us.
Recently, we repainted and refreshed the murtis. Over time, the paint fades and soot from the fire accumulates. The murtis need care, just like living beings. It requires a lot of resources, not only for repainting the murtis, but also for new saris, ornaments, flowers, and everything needed for their daily worship. Sometimes people ask whether all of this is really necessary. I believe it is. If we invite the divine to reside here, we must care for them with love and respect. Today, something interesting happened. Usually, we receive many more flower garlands, but this morning only 5 arrived. I thought, that's strange. Why are there so few today? Then you and your friend arrived with 2 large bags of garlands, and I understood why there were so few in the morning. It seems that Ma had already arranged everything.
Last night we witnessed an animal sacrifice. Don't you think it feels cruel and ridiculous? Especially because in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that he doesn't need expensive offerings or complicated rituals. He accepts even the simplest offering, A leaf, a flower, a fruit or water, but only when it's given with love and devotion.
He also says, I am the sacrifice itself and the Lord of all sacrifices. Those who depart this world with full realization of divine consciousness become free and attain oneness with Krishna, with Narayana. Of course, what you say is true, but the truth is not always so simple. The world is not black and white, it's filled with many shades and layers. Last year, Swamiji showed me the children of a woman who had been unable to have children. For many years she lived without the blessing she longed for. Then she came to Swami seeking his guidance and help. He said the situation was not simple, it was a matter of karma, but he would ask Ma for guidance. Later, Ma revealed to him how he could help the woman. Swamiji chose 2 young goats and performed a ritual of sacrifice. A year later, the woman gave birth to twins. I saw these children with my own eyes, 2 beautiful boys.
But animal sacrifices are done for many different reasons, and having children is only one of them. How then can we understand all the other rituals?
Of course, we cannot know the whole truth. It is infinite and far deeper than our human understanding. But Swami explained that sometimes Ma guides certain animals towards sacrifice. Souls who due to their karma still have many lives to go through. According to him, out of compassion, Ma may grant such a soul the possibility of human birth. Sometimes this transformation takes place through a sacred ritual and the purifying fire of the yagya.
But you can't know for sure that it's true. It's difficult to believe.
It all comes down to faith, but even believing in God can be difficult. The mind trusts only what the senses can experience, and duality keeps us from realizing our true self. We are used to dividing everything into black and white, even though we all know that between them lies an infinite spectrum of shades. Krishna spoke about the supreme truth. On the level of the absolute, duality no longer exists. Everything is one. As long as you see good and bad as separate, you remain in ignorance. The root of duality lies in our attachments. It comes from what we desire and what we reject. To free ourselves from them is to move beyond the cycle of suffering.
I also had my own experience. The fire burning here is a havan, where offerings are made to Ma. Every time I watched the flames, I saw Ma dancing in the fire. One night I woke up with a strong desire to sit with Ma in the temple. I sat before the havan. In that silence, I felt an invitation to ask the question that was troubling me. Ma, forgive me, but I don't understand. Why do you need animals in this fire? I clearly heard one word: karma. In that moment, I understood how much the mind can distort this idea. Good or bad, painful or joyful, it is not the whole picture. It is about balance. Looking at the body of the little goat slowly turning to ashes, I felt gratitude. Ma was showing her care even here, holding this mysterious transition in her loving hands.
Ma has infinite power and a divine sense of compassion. For her, nothing is impossible. I remember when you were suffering from a severe illness, one of our friends who had practiced for many years prayed for your healing in the Kali Ma temple. That night she heard a powerful voice in her consciousness, Karma. Frightened, she ran out of the temple. But Ma took away part of your karma and today you are healthy. Jai Maa Kali. In Tantra, especially in Aghora, sacrifice is not seen as a cruelty, but as a ritual rooted in Dharma and strict rules. Blood is considered a powerful source of energy. After the ritual, it must be washed away, as the remaining energy can become destructive. That is why the temple is carefully cleansed after every sacrifice.
My dear children, understand this. A true Aghori never takes the life of a living being unless he has the ability to guide that soul toward a higher birth or liberation. Otherwise, it would become a heavy karmic burden.
To